You know the most dangerous idea you can believe about success? It is the belief that understanding something is the same as doing it. This is the great silent killer of dreams. We have confused information with transformation. We believe that if we consume enough content, if we highlight enough passages, if we attend enough seminars, we have moved forward. We have not. We have merely decorated our minds with beautiful ideas that we never live by. The real work, the only work that matters, happens in the vast and quiet territory between knowing and doing. And that gap is not a neutral space. It is a battlefield. It is where most dreams, quietly and without fanfare, disappear. Look at any outcome you admire. A powerful physique, a thriving business, a masterful skill, a happy marriage. We see the final form. We see the result that has already been achieved. And because we see it as a finished product, we make a fatal error. We believe it arrived as a sudden event, a breakthrough, a moment of luck. This is the myth that keeps us waiting. It tricks us into thinking our moment will come, that the planets will align, that the door will swing open, and we will simply step into the life we want. That is not how it works. What you are seeing is not the beginning. It is the end of a long, invisible process. Think of an iceberg. The part above the water, gleaming in the sun, is what everyone sees. It is the success, the achievement, the victory lap. But that visible peak is only there because of the massive, unseen structure below the surface. That submerged mountain of ice is the real foundation. It is the thousands of hours of practice no one filmed. It is the early mornings when no one was cheering. It is the failures that were never posted online. It is the discipline applied when the mood was gone. The visible success is a logical, mathematical consequence of the invisible work. You cannot have one without the other. The man who is strong did not get strong by watching videos about muscles. He got strong by lifting when it was hard. The woman who built the company did not build it by having a perfect idea. She built it by making decisions when she was afraid, by serving customers when she was tired, by correcting course after every setback. The gap between knowing how to do that and actually doing it is where she lived for years. This leads us to a fundamental law, a principle as real as gravity. Preparation does not meet opportunity. That is the common saying, and it is wrong. It is too passive. It suggests you simply prepare and then wait for a lucky break. The true law is this: preparedness meets opportunity. Preparation is an activity. Preparedness is a state of being. It is a condition you live in daily. When you are in a state of preparedness, you are not waiting for the opportunity to prove you are ready. You are already ready. The opportunity, then, is not a lucky chance. It is an inevitable encounter. It is simply the moment when the world's need intersects with what you have already forged yourself into. The musician who has practiced 10,000 hours is not lucky when she is asked to perform. She is inevitable. The writer who has written every day for a decade is not lucky when he finishes a novel. He is inevitable. The gap between knowing you should practice and actually practicing is the distance between wishing and becoming inevitable. To cross that gap requires a force. That force is pressure. Not the pressure of a deadline from outside, but the pressure of a standard from inside. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is the revealer. It strips away the non-essential. It shows you what you are really made of. It exposes your true patterns. When there is no pressure, you can believe you are any kind of person. You can believe you are disciplined, courageous, focused, but apply a little heat, a little friction, a little fatigue, and the truth emerges. Your patterns are revealed. Do you reach for the phone or for the task? Do you make an excuse or make a move? Do you blame circumstances or take responsibility? Pressure does not create your character. It reveals it. And once revealed, it gives you the only material you can actually work with, the truth of your current patterns. Consider two people in the same situation. Two employees are given a challenging, unstructured project with a tight deadline. The first feels the pressure, and it reveals a pattern of avoidance. He spends the first day organizing his files, reading old emails, planning to plan. The pressure makes him frantic for the appearance of work, but not the substance. He is in the gap, and he is stuck there because his pattern under pressure is to retreat into preparation as procrastination. The second feels the same pressure. For her, it reveals a pattern of prioritization. She feels the anxiety, acknowledges it, and then makes a single, brutal list. What is the one thing that must be done first? She does that. Then the next. The pressure focuses her. It forces clarity. Both knew what needed to be done. Only one did it. The difference was the pattern revealed and then followed under pressure. Your life is currently a result of the patterns you follow when the pressure is on. To change your life, you must change those patterns. And you can only change them by applying a counter pressure, a deliberate force, in the opposite direction. This is where you must become a guardian. Your most valuable asset in crossing the gap is not talent, nor intelligence, nor even time. It is focus. Undiluted, uninterrupted, sovereign focus. Distraction is the tax you pay on every dream. Every ping, every scroll, every quick check is a small withdrawal from the bank account of your potential. You must protect your focus, not like it is important, but like it is the last pure water on earth. Because, in a sense, it is. It is the medium through which your knowing becomes doing. A scattered mind cannot execute. Oh, distracted will cannot persist. You must build walls around your focus, not forever, but in sacred intervals. You must declare to the world and to yourself, for this hour, this block of time, I am unreachable. I am in the gap. I am doing the thing I know I must do. This is non-negotiable. The world will adapt. It always does. But if you do not guard this space, the gap will consume your dreams through 1,000 tiny leaks of attention. So how do you actually move? It is not a leap. It is a sequence, a repeatable cycle. First, you learn. You take in a new idea, a new method, a new piece of knowledge. But here is where most stop. They feel the satisfaction of learning and mistake it for progress. Do not stop. Step 2, you must apply. You take that fragment of knowledge and you force it into the real world. You use it. You try it. It will be clumsy. That is the point. Step 3, you evaluate. You look at the result of your application. Did it work? How well? What felt wrong? Be ruthlessly objective. Step 4, you correct. You adjust your approach based on that evaluation. You tweak, you refine, you change one variable. Then step 5, you persist. You go back to application with your correction and you do it again. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, persist. This is the engine. This is how knowledge becomes capacity. This is how theory becomes embedded skill. You are not a library. You are a laboratory. Stop collecting data and start running experiments on your own life. This sequence cannot be powered by motivation. Motivation is a weather system. It comes and goes. It is bright one day and gray the next. If you only move when you feel motivated, you will live a life of long pauses. The true power source is discipline. Discipline is the decision made once and then defended forever. Discipline is a system. It is the set of rules you create for your future self, knowing that your future self will be tired, will be tempted, will not feel like it. You do not negotiate with your moods. You follow the system. You do not ask yourself if you feel like writing today. You look at the system, which says write from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and you sit down and you write. The system removes the debate. It closes the gap by eliminating the daily referendum on your own dreams. Motivation asks you how you feel. Discipline asks you what you are committed to. Build systems so strong that they hold you up when your willpower is weak. And you must understand the role of time, not as an enemy, but as a necessary ingredient. We are planting in seasons, not microwaving meals. There is a season for planting, which is all work and no visible reward. You are putting seeds in the ground. The gap feels huge here. You are doing and seeing nothing. Then there is a season for growth, which is nurturing and protecting what you have planted, still without a harvest. This requires faith in the process. Finally, there is a season for harvest where the results become visible. The problem is, most people spend the planting season digging up their seeds to see if they are growing. They quit during the growth season because the weeds of doubt are high. They never experience a harvest because they did not respect the sequence of the seasons. Strategic patience is not waiting. It is working with the understanding that certain processes cannot be rushed. You cannot force an oak tree from an acorn in a week. You can only water it, protect it, and give it sun. Give your dreams the same respect. Do the daily work and trust that time is your ally, compounding your efforts, not your enemy. You must also become a relentless editor of your own performance. This is feedback and refinement. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Vague feelings of effort are not data. You need clear metrics. Did I do the focused work for the 3 hours I planned? How many conversations did I have? How many words did I write? How many repetitions did I complete? Measure it. Write it down. Then, with the data in hand, correct. This is the evaluate and correct phase on a macro scale. Look at your week not as a blur of activity, but as a series of results. Where did the energy flow? Where did it leak? Refine your systems. Cut away the activities that look like work, but are just motion. Double down on the actions that actually move the needle. This turns your life into a craft. You are not just living, you are sculpting a life. A sculptor does not just hack at the stone. He touches, he steps back, he looks, he makes a careful adjustment. He uses feedback from his eyes and hands to inform the next strike. Be the sculptor of your habits. As you do this, something powerful begins to happen. Momentum builds. This is the compounding effect, the flywheel. Imagine a massive, heavy flywheel. At first, to get it moving, you must push with all your might. You push, and it moves an inch. You push more, and it slowly turns. This is the hardest part. This is the gap. You are expending enormous energy for seemingly no visible result, but you persist. You keep pushing in a consistent direction, and then, turn by turn, it gets easier. The wheel's own weight begins to work for you. Each turn builds upon the previous one. It adds its own momentum. And then, at a certain point, you are no longer pushing the flywheel. You are chasing it. It is spinning with a force of its own. Your job is simply to keep adding energy in the same direction. Your small daily disciplines are the pushes. At first, nothing seems to change. Then, slowly, the momentum builds. Your skills compound. Your reputation compounds. Your confidence compounds. The results are no longer linear. They are geometric. The dream no longer feels distant. It feels inevitable. This is the power of crossing the gap consistently. You are not just reaching a goal. You are building a force of nature. This is how a breakthrough becomes not a single event, but a lifestyle. It is the emotional elevation that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. That when you say you will do something, you do it. That the person you are in your quietest moments of decision is the person of action, not just of thought. This is the deepest form of self-respect. It is not arrogance. It is a quiet certainty. It is the end of the internal civil war between your aspirations and your actions. They are finally aligned. The gap is still there. You will always know more than you have fully implemented. But it is no longer a cemetery for your dreams. It is now your workshop. It is the space where you go each day to build, to craft, to forge the next version of yourself. You stop fearing the distance between knowing and doing. You begin to respect it. You see it as the sacred space where character is built, where dreams are not disappearing, but are being constructed piece by deliberate piece. The challenge before you is simple, though not easy. You must today and every day identify one thing you know you should do, but have not yet done. It does not have to be grand. It must be clear, and you must move, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect. You must move now. Apply the knowledge. Enter the gap. Feel the resistance. Feel the pressure reveal your old patterns, and then, with focus, push against them. Follow the sequence. Trust your systems, not your mood. Respect the seasons. Measure your push. Add your effort to the flywheel. Do this not once, but as a practice, as a discipline, as the new pattern of your life. The world is filled with people who know what to do. Be the rare one who does it. Let the gap be where your dreams come to life, not where they come to die. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. And watch as the invisible work begins to create a visible life. That visible life will not look like you imagine. That is another truth you must accept. The dream you have in your mind, that polished, finished, perfect vision, it is a destination on a map, but the journey will change you. The terrain will alter your path. The struggles will reshape your muscles, both physical and mental. The person who arrives at that destination will not be the same person who dreamed the dream. You will be stronger. You will be wiser. You will be more resilient. You will have earned a quiet confidence that cannot be given, only forged. Do not cling so tightly to the specific picture of the outcome that you miss the transformation happening within you. The real prize is not the trophy on the shelf. The real prize is the person you had to become to earn it. The gap is where that person is built. Every act of doing when you don't feel like it is a brick in the foundation of that new self. Let us talk about resistance. That feeling in your gut when you know you should act, but a heavy inertia holds you back. That is not your enemy speaking. That is the boundary of your old self. Resistance is the immune system of your current identity fighting against change. Your current patterns, your current habits, your current comfort zone, they have a gravity to them. They want to persist. When you move to act on new knowledge, you trigger that immune response. A voice will say, "You are tired." A thought will suggest you start tomorrow. An urgent but unimportant task will suddenly appear. Recognize this for what it is, the death rattle of the person you are leaving behind. Do not negotiate with that voice. Do not argue with it. Simply acknowledge its presence and then act anyway. The more you act in spite of the resistance, the weaker its grip becomes. The new pattern, the identity of a person who does what they know, begins to form. The resistance never fully goes away. It just moves to the next frontier of your growth. See it as a signpost. It marks the exact spot where growth is waiting for you. This requires a certain ruthlessness with your own excuses. An excuse is a story you tell yourself to make inaction acceptable. It is a work of fiction you author to protect your ego from the truth that you are choosing not to try. The circumstances are never perfect. The timing is never ideal. You will never have all the resources, all the information, all the support. That is not how it works. You start imperfectly. You begin with what you have, where you are. You use the blunt tools before you earn the sharp ones. The excuse of not enough is a trap. It keeps you waiting at the starting line, forever preparing, forever gathering, forever knowing, but never doing. You must develop a zero-tolerance policy for your own excuses. When you hear that narrative begin in your mind, "I can't," because you must interrupt it. You must replace it with a single question. What is the one thing I can do right now with what I have? That question is a bridge across the gap. It forces action, however small, and a small action taken is infinitely more powerful than a grand plan abandoned. We have spoken of systems over motivation. Let us build that system. It starts with a ritual. A ritual is a series of small, predetermined actions that signal to your mind and body that it is time to enter the gap. It is a starter chord for your willpower. Your ritual might be as simple as clearing your desk, pouring a glass of water, putting on a specific playlist, and opening a single document. It might be lacing up your shoes and stepping out the door. It is not the work itself, but the consistent repeated preamble that tells your deeper self, it is time to focus, it is time to do. Over time, the ritual itself becomes a trigger for a state of flow. It bypasses the debate. You do not decide whether to work. You simply begin the ritual, and the ritual carries you into the work. Design your ritual. Make it non-negotiable. Let it be the anchor in your day that holds you firm against the waves of distraction and procrastination. Within that system, you must also design your environment. Your environment is the invisible hand that guides your behavior. You are not a robot with infinite willpower. You are a human being, influenced by what is around you. If your environment is filled with distractions, you will be distracted. If your environment is cluttered with reminders of what you have not done, you will feel overwhelmed. You must shape your physical and digital space to support the doing, not just the knowing. Remove the apps that steal your focus. Block the websites that consume your hours. Create a dedicated space, however small, that is for the work alone. Fill that space with objects that inspire action, not just contemplation. Your environment should make the right action easy and the wrong action difficult. This is not a sign of weakness. It is the wisdom of a craftsman who keeps his tools sharp and his workshop clean. Do not fight your environment. Design it to fight for you. Now, let us address the fear that lives in the gap. The Fear of failure is obvious, but the more insidious fear is the fear of success. What if you actually do it? What if you build the business, achieve the fitness, write the book? That changes everything. It raises expectations. It brings new responsibilities. It forces you out of the comfortable identity of the person with potential and into the vulnerable identity of the person who has delivered. That is a terrifying transition. The unknown of success can be just as paralyzing as the fear of failure. You must name this fear. You must look at it and say, I see you. You are the fear of my own expansion. And then you must understand. Growth is always a series of uncomfortable transitions. You will never feel ready for the next level. You will have to grow into it. The only way to do that is to step into the gap and perform at the edge of your current capacity until that capacity expands. Success is not a comfortable arrival. It is a continual becoming. Embrace the discomfort of expansion. It is the surest sign you are moving. All of this effort, this daily crossing of the gap, requires fuel. That fuel is not caffeine or motivational videos. The fuel is meaning. You must connect your smallest actions to your largest purpose. Why are you doing this? Not for the applause, not for the money alone, but for the deeper reason. Is it to provide a life of freedom for your family? Is it to master a craft for the sake of expression itself? Is it to prove to yourself that you can? This why is your compass. When the fog of fatigue rolls in, when the resistance is strong, your why cuts through. It reminds you that this push-up, this sales call, this difficult conversation is not an isolated event. It is a stitch in the tapestry of a life you are weaving. Take time to write down your why. Keep it where you can see it. Return to it when the action feels hollow, meaning turns discipline from a grind into a pilgrimage. It makes the mundane sacred. You will have days when you fall back. You will have a week where the systems break, the rituals are abandoned, and you find yourself back on the comfortable side of the gap, just knowing, not doing. This is not a disaster. This is data. Do not use a setback as proof that you cannot do it. Use it as intelligence on what went wrong. Did your environment fail? Did you neglect your ritual? Did you lose connection to your why? Analyze it without drama. Then correct. Rebuild the system. Recommit to the ritual. Reconnect to the purpose. The path to mastery is not a straight line. It is a series of corrections. A ship crossing an ocean is off course 90% of the time. The captain is constantly checking the compass and adjusting the wheel. You are the captain. Your daily actions are the wheel. Your purpose is the compass. Your evaluation is the constant check. Being off course is normal. Staying off course is a choice. Correct and continue. This journey will feel lonely at times. It will feel like you are the only one struggling in the gap while others seem to float effortlessly from success to success. That is an illusion. Every person who has built something of value has spent years in that same solitary space. The difference is they made peace with the loneliness. They accepted it as the price of admission for a life of their own design. Find strength in the solitude. It is in the quiet, unobserved hours that you forge your true character. You do not need a cheering section for every step. The deep satisfaction of knowing you showed up for yourself, that you kept the promise you made to yourself, is a reward that no external validation can match. Learn to be your own source of validation. Let the completion of the work be the applause. As you persist, you will notice a shift in your identity. You will stop saying, I want to be a writer, and start saying, I write. You will stop saying, I plan to start a business, and start saying, I am building. The language shifts from future aspiration to present action. This is a profound psychological change. You are no longer identifying as someone on the way to the thing. You are identifying as someone who does the thing. This identity then reinforces the action. It creates a virtuous cycle. Because you see yourself as a person who does, you are more likely to do. Protect this identity. It is fragile at first. Nurture it with consistent small victories. Each time you cross the gap, you are voting for this new identity. Soon the votes will add up, and the election will be over. You will have become, in your own mind and in your reality, the person who does. Now, consider the legacy of this practice. It is not just about you. It is about the example you set. Whether you realize it or not, people are watching. Your children, your colleagues, your friends. They see when you talk about dreams, and they see when you act on them, or when you do not. By crossing the gap, you are not just building your own life. You are giving others permission to build theirs. You are showing them that it is possible, that the gap can be crossed, that dreams do not have to disappear. Your actions become a silent sermon, more powerful than any words you could speak. You become a living testament to the principle that knowing is not enough. This is a responsibility and an honor. Let it add weight and significance to your daily choices. So today, as you finish this, you stand at a familiar threshold. You have new knowledge, you have new insights, you have a clearer map of the gap and how to cross it. The old you would feel inspired, make a vague plan, and then let life slowly erode that intention until it was just another forgotten idea. The new you, the one you are choosing to become, will act differently. You will pause. You will identify the very next action, not the grand plan for the year, the single physical actionable step you can take in the next hour. You will feel the resistance. You will acknowledge the fear. You will silence the excuse, and then you will move. You will enter the gap. You will do the thing. This is the moment of truth. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, now. The entire architecture of the life you want is built on these moments of decision, repeated thousands of times. This is the raw material of destiny, not luck, not talent, not genius. The simple, profound, courageous act of doing what you know.